Hello and welcome to VOA's Red Carpet. I'm Jackson Mvunganyi. This week on the show, we chat with artist and motivational speaker Shadel Mo about her music and her connection to Africa. We visit an artist that is using his chainsaw to turn tree stumps into art. Those stories, plus we meet Tatenda Mungofa, the co-founder of a car manufacturing company based in South Africa. Let's get on with the show. Organizers of Africa Diaspora Day on the Hill said that they hope that this first of its kind event becomes an annual event with recognition from the US Congress. The event attracted mostly members of the African diaspora in the Washington, D.C. region, Maryland, and Virginia, with hopes to connect and network with each other on issues regarding their growing community. Amina Laura Ahmad is an award-winning speaker, educator, and entertainer who traveled all the way from Oakland, California to attend the event.
I'm here representing the Black American and Jamaican community as born-again Africans. I'm very passionate about us as Black people around the world reconnecting to our roots so that we can come together and blossom the best fruits. So I really appreciate this convening today, bringing us together. And this is the first, but it won't be the last. So I want us to know that we are all one people, one aim, one destiny, one Africa. Ashe.
Shadel's album, Inward Awakening, is a multi-genre poetic collection that explores self-knowledge and empowerment. She says that she quit her job as a successful television host to embark on a journey of self-discovery through the arts, hoping to pass on the lessons for personal development and consciousness to others. We sat down for a conversation about her journey as a motivational speaker, her music, and her connection to Africa. Let's check it out.
Born leader, call me Queen Sheba, Messiah, God is the fire, give it a mic, I rock it.
One of your tracks on this album is titled Africa Inside of Us.
Yes.
Talk to us about your own background and the identity and that connection to Africa that this album has revealed to you.
Yes. When you go within yourself, there's no way a human being, in my opinion, can go within themselves and not recognize and not honor Africa, even if you're white, because our identity is shifted to this place, right? So I've always had that type of belief, but Africa inside of us, it's so crazy, King, but a lot of times in my life, when I don't want to get emotional, but when I am scared to do something, when I face self-doubt, when I face negative thoughts, because this is all part of the human experience, I tap into that inner African power. I'm like, oh, no. My ancestors, we are beasts, okay? Yes. Our ancestors are beasts. Shar, you can do the thing. And it's like something just goes within me and I'm like, whoo! And it's like, oh my gosh, I've been able to tap into this thing. And it's like this divine power and this divine protection because you honor who you are.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's amazing. And I try to tell people this stuff, and I tell people, once you get connected with your African identity, and however that looks like to you, because I'm a believer in not trying to force anybody to be anybody but themselves, but once you get connected to these roots, you start to grow because it's part of your foundation.
You find your, I guess, your inner gangster.
Yes,
That's
my
one
inner
of the
gangster.
one of the other tracks on.
Inner gangster. Hey,
So
true.
what is your inner gangster?
Woo! Inner gangster is all about courage. In this journey of life, every one of us will be tested in some way.
Everybody got an inner gangster, tough and rooted like a soldier.
So inner gangster is to remind us about that courage that's in all of us. Because sometimes in life, it's gonna hit you. And you have to decide, am I gonna allow these things to take a hold of me? Or I'm gonna walk in that God power and get up. So inner gangster is all about being a fighter. And I've been a fighter since day one.
Fighting.
Oh yeah,
Non-stop.
absolutely. We never stop fighting.
Obviously, there's this negative connotation to gangster.
That's
you
what
were
people
trying
think.
to,
I was trying to do the positive thing about it because it's like that resilience to keep going and saying, you know what, I got this.
You got this. Yeah. Do you ever have moments of doubt or
self-doubt
where you think maybe I'm not doing the right thing, I've not done it the right way? How do you examine yourself and be honest with yourself when you're not sure of which path you're taking your own?
That's a deep question. I believe nobody's exempt from the human experience. We're all going to go through things. So anybody who says they don't have self-doubt or insecurities, they're lying. But I have to also realize that when I'm facing this negative energy, then I'm not allowing this thought to define me. Because once we start entertaining self-doubt, we go into a dark hole. And what happens is negative energy is so beyond powerful that it attracts other things. It's like once you start a dark thought, you're going to think about this, you're going to think about this. And living in lack is terrible for you. So when I face these negative thoughts, I allow myself to process it and realize, like, okay, I am not my thoughts, and try to switch to something positive.
What is art? It is an age-old question. Is it a paint on canvas, ceramics, or sculpture? The fun part is art can be anything and can even be created with a chainsaw. That's the medium of one artist in the US state of Virginia. Maxim Adams has the story. Let's check it out.
Forget paintbrushes. Andrew Mellon is making art with his chainsaw, transforming old tree stumps into masterpieces. He has created over 150 wooden sculptures, most of which are in parks and the private yards of his neighbors in Northern Virginia. Mellon says his aim is to liven up places and add a little magic to them.
Chainsaw carving is kind of like brain surgery. You know, you've got to be real careful with everything that you're doing. So you've really got to control this big machine.
Today he works with 10 different chainsaws, grinding machines, cutters and chisels. Mellon says he does 90% of the work with a chainsaw. The largest one smooths out the stump. Then he goes smaller and smaller for the more detailed work. He finishes off with a torch to dry off the wood, then sands the sculpture and puts a protective coating on top. In the future, Mellon dreams of creating a sculpture garden, where visitors will be able to admire his work all in one place.
Originally from Zimbabwe, 36-year-old Tatenda Mungofa is the co-founder of a car manufacturing company headquartered in South Africa. His company strives to create vehicles made in Africa. Reporter Keith Baptist met with Mungofa in South Africa and has this story.
Cars driven in most African cities were manufactured in Japan, Korea, or Europe. However, 36-year-old Tatenda Mungofa says he is determined to change that. And that change-driven mindset began when he was a child.
My dad was a mechanic, and I grew up with a passion for cars because I saw him working on a lot of other cars. And for me, I had a question, a burning question within me that was saying, what would it take to actually create the car?
Mungofa, who hails from Zimbabwe, launched one of Southern Africa's first motor vehicles called Moreza Auto Company, with two other co-founders from South Africa. The name translates to flag in the Shona language. Mungofa designs these cars by first drawing sketches and then working to transform them into actual prototypes. But the process, he says, isn't simple.
The journey to get to this point has not been easy. The process alone to manufacture cars is actually quite daunting. In Africa, it's not heard of that you want to start a manufacturing operation from start, let alone in the automotive industry.
According to the Zimbabwe National Statistics Agency, like most African countries, Zimbabwe relies on second-hand cars from Japan and Europe. In a bid to promote the local motor industry, the Zimbabwe government placed a ban on second-hand cars and vehicles older than 10 years. Zimbabwe's Minister of Industry and Commerce says, whilst other industries show growth in exports, vehicle imports still rank high on the list of imports in the country.
We have struggled to address the trade balance. While our exports are growing, our imports are also growing at a faster rate than our exports. We have imported over the last 5 years more than $3 billion worth of motor vehicles. including buses. In fact, we still have as policy that you are importing a fully assembled bus duty-free, but when you are bringing in parts to assembly, you pay 10% duty.
Given the huge import demands, Mungofa says his company can meet that demand locally. And the way to do that is by bringing in resources from the region.
In South Africa, we are located in Pilanesberg. We have 300 hectares of land there where we are setting up our 25,000 square meter manufacturing facility. In Zimbabwe, we are sitting on 100 hectares that we intend to also build another factory. But our plan is to go throughout the whole continent, setting up assembly plants and distribution points so that we better service the African market.
Given that most car manufacturing plants in the country have either folded or migrated to a more favorable market, Mungofa hopes to fill that gap.
Music cassette tapes are making a comeback in the US with more than 430,000 sold in 2023, about 5 times the number sold just a decade ago. Cassette tapes are especially popular with younger generations who grew up with digital music. Karina Bafradazian has the story.
Neil Beckton has owned this record store in Washington for almost 2 decades, but customers are not only buying vinyl records these days. Beckton says a couple of years ago he had to dedicate a separate section to audio cassettes.
Cassettes started picking up in the last 2 years maybe. I used to sell like one a month, and now I'm selling them almost every day.
And the trend extends beyond his store. Research by entertainment data and analytics company Illuminate shows that in 2023, more than 430,000 audio cassettes were sold in the US. That's 5 times more than in 2014. But what's the draw of analog music when digital streaming is so easy? Ennis, a customer who asked to go by his first name only, says listening to music in album or cassette form is for him a better experience.
It was kind of killing the music that I was liking in terms of like picking and selecting what I like in a specific album, etc. And so what I like mostly about vinyls is like being able to like enjoy the full thing.
Beckton says cassettes are especially popular with Generation Z customers, people born in the late 1990s and after, who hunt specific tapes down online and in physical stores.
It's mainly younger right now for cassettes. I mean, some older folks that still have cassette, you know, maybe a cassette player or one in their car, or I see that a little bit, but it's mainly kids.
It's still possible to find cassette players from the 90s on platforms like eBay. What's more, YouTube offers tutorials that show the younger generation old tricks like how to quickly rewind a cassette with just a pencil or play a DJ set with tapes. Musician Bartholomew Joyce owns several hundred audio cassettes and records his music on them.
People are just curious about it. It's a medium that if you grow up in the past 20 years, you're not going to encounter. And so there's something about it being vintage and in the past that's exciting.
Dua Lipa, Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande are among those responding to the demand. They have all released albums on audio cassette. British singer Mary Spander says cassettes are just a logical continuation of the vinyl trend of the last decade.
It was just something to offer my fans that was physical, something to hold on to, collect, display, as well as listen to.
Thank you for watching VOA's Red Carpet. I'm Jackson Mvunganyi. For more entertainment news, remember to check us out at voaafrica.com. We are also on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe. Until next time,